everybody.
Well done. So, how are you doing this week? How's everything going for you before we get into the show?
This week has been all right, Dave. Thanks for having me. Thanks for having me back again, Know It Alls. This week has been challenging as always
As
because
always.
we're living in some uncertain times. I did see a guy in a full Tyvek suit. That's also known as a hazmat suit. I've also seen a guy with a pamper over his face. So I got my little check, that little $1,200 that the government's supposed to be sending us. The best practice that I have for everybody is don't take that money and go buy useless things. Take that money and put it on a bill. Take that money, put it in your savings account. Do something with that money so that when the economy restarts, you can actually be an active participant in the economy. That's all I got.
All right, financial advice. I bet nobody was expecting to get that today, but very good that you delivered that. And yes, I know it's very tempting to buy frivolous things, but let's try our best not to. So, Tristan, we're talking about being a heel or being a babyface. Well, first of all, I'll tell the people at home, what do you prefer yourself?
So you got babyface and heel. For those of you that don't know, but I mean it's the know-it-all, so they know it. If you're a babyface, you're the good guy, you're the hero, and if you're the heel, you are the bad guy. You're the rudo, you're the villain. Me personally, throughout my entire time of wrestling, I've always been the heel. I can probably count on one hand how many times since 2009 I've been the babyface. I enjoy being the heel. I don't like being the babyface is because I think I'm naturally a nice guy. I'm the nicest guy I know. Hold on, let me not break my hand patting myself in the back too much. But I think that I'm the nicest guy that I know, and I think for me being a heel, Dave, is different because, well, no, me being a heel primarily is the person that I suppress every single day. The person that you can't tell people what you think, and you just have to censor yourself. So when I'm a heel, it's usually the uncensored version of myself.
Gotcha, and I would agree with that. Tristan is a very nice guy. Tristan is a heck of a nice guy. And just quick, let's give a hello to Ben Espinoza, Dale Stanford, Ron Hawthorne, Samurai Productions, Rodder Reflex, Antonio Cage, of course. Hi, hi, hi. Lagging a bit. So tell us more. Tell us when you first discovered being a heel and what made it attract to you. Tell us when you first began. How did that work?
So when I first began, I didn't have the option of whether I was heel or face. I was automatically a heel. I was in a tag team. We were a heel tag team, Saints of Lodi, and we eventually broke up. So the promoter said to us, "Who's going to be heel? Who's going to be face?" I was the one that was getting the cheers and the adulations from the fans. So I decided I should have been the baby face, and he goes, "No, I want to be the heel. I want to be the baby face." So he wanted to be the baby face. And if you ask me, I don't think you should be a baby face if you're not really speaking English, if you're grunting at the fans. But to each his own. So he decided he wanted to be the baby face. So I let him be the baby face, and I ended up staying with that company until that company closed down.
Gotcha.
So that's how I got exposed to being a heel. I did work heel. My first time working heel was in Scranton. I'm sorry, babyface was in Scranton, Pennsylvania. I didn't really understand what I was doing too much. But for me, being a heel is for example, okay. So being a heel is when you leave for work, there's like 2 sips of Kool-Aid left in the fridge. However, by the time you get home, you got that Kool-Aid on your mind, that Kool-Aid on your mind all day. Man, it's nice and it's cold. It's at the bottom. That's where all the sugar's lying. So you go home, you open the fridge, boom, there's no Kool-Aid because the heel took it from you. And that's what I like. I like to get that reaction out of people. I want you to think you're getting the good, and when you think you're getting the good, I've got it before you. I beat you.
Gotcha. All right. So some words of expertise. Okay. So when it comes to being a heel, that's what the heel is. And I know you've actually said this before, and I've always liked this, where you say, "What do you when it comes to professional wrestling? What are you chasing?" You know, I know I'm trying to let you get the big reveal, but you know, some people are chasing adulation, but you're always chasing the heat. I remember you saying that, and I've always liked that.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. So everybody wants to be cheered. Everybody wants to be cheered because everybody personally, it's a psychological thing, Dave, in my opinion, that everybody wants to be cheered because they want to feel like, oh my God, I'm doing such a great job. They love me. But you see, I'm looking for the adverse effect. You know, I want you to meet me in the parking lot and try to fight me because something that I did out there, you did not like it. I want you to, to throw garbage in the ring because you think I'm trash. You know, there are times that I've went out there and I've seen Tristen Law sucks T-shirts. You know, I don't mind giving people the finger. I've told people I've told people some really nasty things as a heel. You know, things that I'm probably kind of ashamed to say now that I wouldn't really say I don't want to say real life, but on the street. But when I get out there and that heel character, that heel button is like pressed, boom, like I'm full heel mode. I'm not there for you to, because there's heels that want to go out there and be cool. Yeah, don't get it wrong, Dave. There might be one or two guys out there that might think that one or two people that pay a ticket to come see me, they're like, oh my God, that guy is cool. He's such a great wrestler. But at the end of the day, you're not going to leave without thinking, you know what? That guy, Tristen, he's a Richard.
Yeah, we know what you mean. Okay, so let's get back in the chat real quick. Sup, Vinny Montana, and calling him New Upper. Don't insult him like that. That's a heel move. JJ Abrams, I have no real thoughts about it, but it's the first I'm hearing about it, actually. Ron Hawthorne, I think playing the heel role would be much more fun. Well, yeah, that's a good question. Do you find it being more fun, Tristan?
I feel that I find being a heel a lot more fun. I mean, they both have their ups and downs of being a heel and a baby face. The heel in old school wrestling, the heel is usually the leader of the match. The heel is the person that calls the match in the ring and dictates the way how the match moves. The heel is usually the more experienced person in the ring that dictates how the match moves. Because for me as a heel, Dave, I understand what the point is. The point is for me to get you cheered. I need to get you over. And I think it's fun when I go out there and I just manipulate the crowd into the way that I need them to behave, to cheer you and to boo me. So I think it's fun. I think it's fun to be a heel.
Gotcha. All right. So Little Fettuccine asks, who is the best heel ever? I think at a general principle, I'm going to just go ahead with the classic answer and say Ric Flair. Part of me does want to say the original Undertaker, but I'm just going to go ahead and say Ric Flair. Tristan, how about you?
I could definitely say that that Ric Flair back in the day was the heel because he was just so cocky. Like, what made that guy so special? It's because he had alligator shoes. It's because, ladies, you didn't have to go to Disney World to ride Space Mountain. Like, the guy was just such a Richard, and people didn't like him for that. I think another good heel today, MJF. I think MJF is a great heel. I feel MJF and I may have a lot of qualities or personal preferences that are the same, that we don't want to go out there and get the chair. One thing that I don't do, Dave.
All right, well, hold off on that. We're gonna get into that momentarily.
All right.
Just real quick, we're just gonna start acknowledging a little bit more of the chats. Real quick, Dale would like to know: is it easier? Because we talked about what's more fun, but is it easier to be a heel, or is it harder to be a heel?
It is easier for me to be a heel because I think it's easier for me to be a heel because I don't want you to like me. So my whole thing is that by the time my music hits and I'm standing in the ring, it doesn't matter who comes out. You're just glad that there's somebody out there to punch me in the face, and that's my thing. For me as a heel, one that I don't have to win all the time. I don't need to win all the time. One of the things I actually just started doing as well too, Dave, that makes it even more fun as a heel is that I no longer use a finishing move. You know, one of the things that I feel that I should do as a heel is that anytime I win, it should be cheap. Even if I roll you up and grabbing the tights, or I got the feet on the rope, or I hit you with a low blow before you in the eye, or I expose the turnbuckle and drop your face first and then roll you up, you know, something. It's no finishing move for me anymore. I always try to go for some kind of cheapness to win. So I think for
Cheating
me,
is your
it's
finishing move, yeah.
Cheating is my finish, right?
Gotcha. I like that. Okay, so now let's go back to the MJF thing because actually, before we directly approach MJF, and you mentioned this last week, much to my chagrin, your favorite wrestler of all time. For those of you who may not remember, who is your favorite wrestler, Tristan?
The King of Kings, the cerebral assassin, Triple H,
Okay.
formerly known as Hunter Hearst Helmsley.
Okay, so we mentioned MJF, we mentioned Triple H. Now the question is, being a heel, an effective heel, should you ever break being a heel? Should you ever stop being a heel under certain circumstances? And I'll just set you up a little bit. We'll give you an incident why. So your favorite wrestler, Triple H, favorite wrestler of all time, did go ahead and break a character once, made a little boy cry in the front row, and as you guys can see on screen, he actually stopped himself, went over to the young man, gave him a little bit of hug, made sure it was okay, won him over. Now, some people applauded Triple H for this move, saying that that's really cool, that he broke character, made sure the little boy was okay, let him know there's no hard feelings, it's all part of the show. However, there are some people who feel quite the opposite, that you don't break the character no matter what, and that this is the exact kind of reaction you want. You want little kids crying when you come out there. If you're a heel, you're kayfabe for life, and some people don't approve of this act. So, Tristan, what's your thoughts on this, especially since this is your boy Triple H?
So for me, I don't think that's something that professional wrestlers should do. That they should break kayfabe, or they should get out of character. What I feel like, okay, so people are probably thinking, okay, well, what's the difference between professional wrestling and maybe a movie or a TV show? Because these people are just pretending to be people. But like one of the things I said before is that when I'm a heel, it's an extension of who I am. It's who I am deep down inside. It's when that person cuts you off at the supermarket when you're next in line and they jump in front of you and you hold your tongue. So I'm not pretending to be anyone, Dave. It's actually who I am. But people like Triple H, I mean, they're running Broadway. I mean, they feel that's appropriate. But like MJF had the same exact altercation.
We're definitely going to get that at. So for you fans out there,
right, so let me knock Triple H out of the park then, yeah. and then we'll talk about. Okay, fine. So Triple H, I don't feel me personally. They're doing a different kind of wrestling. They're doing sports entertainment. So for them, it's almost like Broadway. WWE has actually pulled back the curtain all the way and told you, hey, this is a show that we're putting on. But again, when you look at the difference between wrestling and a movie, these people are pretending to be characters. Movies aren't really happening live right in front of you. Whenever you watch professional wrestling, it's with real people. There are no stuntmen. There are no cutaways for you to go, oh my God, that's not really Antonio Banderas. Is Antonio Banderas still alive? I don't know.
Yeah.
But, is it?
Yeah.
Okay, Antonio Banderas still alive. There you go, YouTube. Don't kill Antonio Banderas. He's still alive. So, for me as a wrestler, it's who you are, and it's live, and you're not doing your own stunts. So people seeing you right now, and it's happening right now. The story that you're seeing is not happening 10 years ago or in the future or 10 minutes ago. It's happening right now. So I think that you should stay within your character.
Okay, gotcha. And a real quick aside before we get back into the next portion, the MJF thing, which I definitely want to talk about, let me bring up one thing. Now, when it comes to you, Tristan, again, I want to reiterate, he is an extremely nice guy, and especially a lot of you saw him last week. I get that, and it is interesting seeing the heelness. But I think there's almost a classic example of the classic line. I got it from Batman the Animated Series, but the brighter the picture, the darker the negative. So I think when it comes for you, since you're so naturally happy, polite, and kind, that inner broodingness that is so angry, that doesn't come out normally, I feel like your chance to let it out is in the ring. I think that's where it all comes from, and I like that, and I think that's a major part of where psychologically where we're getting it from, which I think is really good. Okay, so let's go back in the chat real quick. We have Ooh, this is not a bad question. You bring up something interesting that I wasn't looking for. But Crutch, Jay White is the absolute best but underrated heel in the business today. Now, I have gone on record, and I've said this multiple times. I think what MJF and I think also Matt Taven is doing this too. I think for their particular audience, the New Japan audience, that Ring of Honor audience, I think the maneuver is if you really want to be hated, you got to go with the Roman Reigns move. You just got to the John Cena move. You just got to not really wrestle all that well. Hold off on your moves. Don't really wrestle that much, and the fans will turn on you. They will absolutely hate you. And like Jay White, before he got his massive heel push, he did wrestle a lot more. Like, call me crazy, but I noticed a different style. And I believe that Jay White and Matt Taven are doing it intentionally, being the less technically proficient, the less spotty guy in the ring, going out of their way on purpose to not be what their audience, that fan base is looking for, just in order to get heat. Would you agree with that, or do you think this is just merely coincidence and I'm grasping at straws here? What's your take on it?
So it's funny that you say that they are wrestling in a way that's less flashy. When I'm hanging out with the newer wrestlers at the wrestling schools that I go to, I always explain to them, I can do a monkey flip. I can do some of that athletic stuff. I can do leapfrog, drop downs, and all this other cool stuff, and take a sunset flip off the top rope and all of that crazy stuff. I can do that. However, when I do that, you look at me and go, "Oh wow, for a big man, that's impressive." And when I'm doing that, when you think it's impressive, you're getting a reaction like, "Oh my God, I like that." Right. So why am I going out there as a heel and giving you things that you like when I'm trying to take everything away from you? So I think it's great for them that they're only going out there doing a couple moves. Do you need a couple moves? No. Whenever you're watching a story, like a movie, they're not doing everything in the book. They're doing only a couple things, and they're using that to get over. John Cena, Hulk Hogan. Hulk Hogan has run on record before and said that he is not the best wrestler ever, and he only went out there and had a couple moves. You can call every Hulk Hogan match without even seeing it because it's all the same. It's cookie cutter. It's a formula that he follows. So if Matt Taven and them want to go out there and do less technical wrestling moves, more power to them, because you know what it's doing? It's getting heat. There's people out there not liking it. So if they're not liking it, great job to them. They're doing a good job, and they're a heel. They're a heel.
Gotcha. Very good. Very good. Okay, so yeah, very good. All right, so yeah, Crutch, thank you for that. Crutch follows that up by saying you can see slow working psychology at play with Jay White. Yes, I definitely would agree with that. So very good observation. All right, so now let's go back to something else mentioned here in the chat. Just want to acknowledge this real quick. So Ron Hawthorne says, question for Tristen, which type of heel do you play? Which type of heel do you play? Tristan, did I lose you?
I didn't know there was more than one type of heel. Heel.
Yeah,
heel's a heel.
Talking about? Yeah, Ron.
Yeah, heel's a heel. When you go to wrestling school, you don't learn heel, face, and tweener. That's why we say like tweener is not a real thing. That's just me.
Oh, so my personal opinion. You're one of those who doesn't believe in tweeners.
Yes, tweener's not a thing. If you're a heel, you know how to go out there and get the reaction that you need. If you're a baby face, you know how to go out there and get the reaction that you need. If you're a tweener and you're going out there and go, I'm just going to wrestle tonight, and if they cheer me, they cheer me, and if they boo me, they boo me, that's not right. Yeah. You're supposed to be, it's like going to a bar and saying that you want vodka on the rocks and they hand you seltzer water with ice in it. That's not what you wanted. So the bartender's job is to make you what you want. The professional wrestler's job, if you're the heel, your job is to go out there, and my job is to go out there and make you hate me and make you love the babyface. And the babyface's job is to make you hate me and make you love him. And how does the babyface do that? The babyface does that by selling.
So you're saying you go to the bar and you got to you're either thirsty or you're not. You're not, I don't know, am I?
That's it.
Gotcha. Okay, so now real quick, now I do want to, you've already given your answer to this, but I got to hit you where it hurts, buddy. I got to hit you where it hurts. I got to use your own personal taste against you. So you already mentioned how, For you, it's a little different. WWE, Broadway, it's a different situation with what Triple H is trying to do for sports entertainment. But here's a question. What about NXT, and what about another personal favorite of yours? What about Sasha Banks when she went over and she made Izzy cry, and then she afterwards went over and made up with Izzy and, gave her a little hug. Do you remember this incident, Tristan?
Yes, I remember that incident. That was at what is it? NXT Takeover in Brooklyn.
I believe so. Yes.
Okay, so if you and that actually happened multiple times with Izzy.
Right.
And shout out to Izzy's dad. I follow him and I follow each other on Twitter. You can always follow me at the Real Big Tris on Twitter and Instagram. Follow me now. That's right now. I'll give you a second. Okay, great. So how do I feel about that? So from what I understand, and I've never worked.
That's your girl? Wait, what? That's your girl, right?
I mean, you know. But one of the I've never worked for WWE. I've never been to WWE, but I know people that are there. I know people that have been there doing different roles.
But is NXT different? Is NXT different? We'll start there.
No, because it still falls underneath that WWE umbrella. It's different in certain aspects, but then again, it's still in that WWE umbrella where WWE's mantra is we put smiles on people's faces. So, at the end of the day, you need to leave the people with a smile on their face. That's WWE's mantra. I mean, then again, if WWE is paying you what WWE is paying you, you kind of do what it is that they want you to do.
Gotcha.
So is that okay? In my opinion, no. But I'm not the one paying Sasha Banks paycheck. I'm not the one putting her lights on. I'm not the one, making sure that she can put food for her dog. I'm not the one that garnered her all those extra followers on Twitter and Instagram. So you do what they want you to do.
Okay. Thank you, AJ Envoy. Okay, so NXT though, but would you at least agree that they have a different audience? They have a different demographic. So while they do fall under the banner of WWE, would you at least acknowledge that they have a different audience?
Of course. I think the audience for NXT and Raw and SmackDown, let's just call it main roster. And I don't agree that NXT is second fiddle anymore. Okay. But just for the sake of conversation, we're going to use it. The difference between NXT and the main roster, I think months ago, before NXT became live on USA, that the fan base were totally different.
Yes.
The fan base NXT was everybody that was saying, well, we don't like WWE. We want wrestling that's almost like the Attitude Era. We want wrestling that's more grown up and less childish. And you get that out of NXT. However, because NXT is now on the USA main roster and she's now on NXT, now you're getting that crossover every week. So I think that those lines are pretty much blurring between the demographics. Not even that they're blurring. I think WWE is taking NXT is getting some of that demographic from Raw and SmackDown. So did it initially have a different demographic? I think the majority of the demographic is different. It's more tailored towards older men and women, but WWE main roster, in my opinion, is more tailored towards the family experience. It's the circus.
Fair enough. Okay, so now we've been alluding to this. We might as well get into it. So there is a specific MJF incident that we were talking about. Also, AEW, different company. Let's find out. First, not only do we want to know what you think about AEW's agenda. Are they Broadway? Where are they going? What's their demographic? But let's start. Definitely want to know all that from you. But let's start with. Might as well have you tell us about this incident right here with MJF.
What's that? What is that he's holding in front of that little boy's face?
That would be a blurred out middle finger.
Okay. Good for him. Good for him.
So, do you recall this incident when this happened?
I do. I do recall that incident. I do remember the dad of that little boy going online and saying that, pretty much for lack of a better term, for the lack of words, I don't remember exactly what the words were. So, everybody on YouTube, don't slay me for this, but the dad was upset that MJF did that and felt that MJF acted unprofessionally and MJF shouldn't be out signing autographs and doing other things like that. So that's pretty much what the dad said. But if you ask me,
and I am,
I think that MJF acted accordingly. So like, let me ask you this: if you go out and you see you go to, like, you bring your daughter, if you had a daughter, we bring our daughters, if we had daughters, we'd bring them to like the Barbie Expo, and we bring our son with us. I don't think there'd be stuff. Our son may be interested in all this stuff, but he may just be a tag along. He may find something there that he likes. But but if we're bringing him there, he's there for the whole Barbie experience. He's not going to go there and say, "Well, I expected to see G.I. Joe." No, you came to a Barbie convention. So if you sign up to go to a autograph signing and you're upset because MJF, who is a bad guy, he acts in a way that you feel is unprofessional to you and your son, well then you got worked. Because that's how he is. That's how he's supposed to behave. That's how he is. That's who he is. When you go to MJF's Twitter, he still behaves in the same exact manner as well. So why is he going to change for you? What makes you so special? Because you decided to save up a couple of dollars, work some overtime at your job, and bring a little pissant son over here and expect that he was going to treat you differently? No, he's not going to treat you any differently. You know why he's not going to treat you differently? Because he doesn't know you, and you don't know him. So take your little stupid autograph, take your little stupid picture if that's what you want, and then go home and post on your social media and tell everybody that you met MJF. But no, you decided to go ahead and get butt hurt because MJF gave your son the middle finger. You're lucky that's all he gave your son.
So not surprisingly, you back MJF's actions up. Now the question is AEW...
No, hold on. I back MJF, but I definitely don't back the father, obviously, because you see, that's the problem with these kids nowadays. You see, he's coddling his kid. His kid is the kind of kid that's going to end up getting a participation trophy for playing on the baseball team and doing nothing but getting hit in the face with balls the entire time. Okay? Because if you want a trophy, kid, if you're watching this, if you want a trophy, you need to go out there and play baseball like everybody else. Don't warm the bench, because bench warmers shouldn't get trophies.
Okay, now here's a question. What if the dad and what if the kid, what if this is all part of the act? What if you're getting worked right now by this?
Well, there's always a saying that I always say in professional wrestling. Yeah. Everything's a work. And even when they tell you that it's a shoot, it's still a work.
Okay, so one thing I like, so for those of you keeping score at home, Cody Rhodes, if I am not mistaken, did follow this up by mentioning how, paraphrasing here, but that MJF he was immature, and, we shouldn't send that guy out. He sent his apologies and also offered some tickets to the family as well. So I love the way this angle played out, because not only did MJF do his role, but I also think that Cody played his part up well, because this was during their feud. Now the question is AEW different from WWE in the regards of being Broadway, and are AEW fans a completely different demographic, and therefore it is more or less suitable for their fans? What do you have to say about that?
I think that, to piggyback off what you said, I think Cody Rhodes did a great job, because Cody Rhodes is the executive. He's one of the faces of the AEW company. So I think that he did good. Cody Rhodes did his job. He's the baby face. What was the question again, Dave? Sorry, I've gotten hit in the head wrestling.
We'll back this up now. Tim Castillo says that AEW are smart based. That's what he's saying about their fans. First of all, is there such a thing as a smart? And B, do you think that's true that's AEW's audience?
Well, if you listen to my show, I know you've been on it, but if anybody's ever been to my show, Royal Ramble Radio, and we're actually a podcast. You can find it anywhere you can listen to a podcast. Sorry, Dave, I had to put myself over. But I think there's 3 times of wrestling. Go ahead.
No, I said plug away.
Oh, okay. There's 3 types of wrestling fans, and we've determined that on my show, Royal Ramble Radio. You have a Mark, you have a smart Mark, and then you have a Brian. Brian is like the lowest. He's like the bottom of the level fan. And then you have your Mark, and then you have your smart Marks. So I don't think that AEW caters to the smart Marks. I think AEW caters to those Ring of Honor fans that want more. Because honestly, if you ask me, there's no reason that Ring of Honor could not have been AEW However, Ring of Honor is, I think if you ask me, I think Ring of Honor is still playing a little bit too scared. How am I not able to turn on my television and get Ring of Honor? No, I have to watch it on some sort of app, to watch their weekly show. But their weekly show, the last time I watched it, because I stopped watching it, their show was like a recap show of like everything. They didn't show actual matches. So for me, I lost interest in that. So there's no reason that Ring of Honor couldn't be AEW or Impact Wrestling couldn't be AEW, even though they tried when they were TNA Wrestling. That's another issue. But, I don't think that AEW caters to the smart marks. I think they cater to the wrestling fans that always wanted more.
Okay. All right. So now on that regard, now let's just say we're just talking smarks in general, those smart marks, if you will. Let's talk about that demographic. Now, if they are a smart mark and a heel is not breaking kayfabe, isn't that kind of lost on a smart mark? I mean, you know what's up anyway. You know what they're doing. So is it just the never-breaking heel? Shouldn't that be more reserved for the mark-based fans instead of the smarks? I mean, doesn't it seem like a bit of a conflict of interest?
Okay. I want to answer your question with a question, Dave. That's a really good question. I'm going to answer your question with a question. What makes a smart mark so smart? Where do you go to Harvard? Where do you go to Yale? Where do you go to community college? What they have, just their GED? What do they have? What makes them so smart?
It's a good question. Knowing the nature of the business, being aware of it, and deciding to mark out anyway. That would be my definition. But yeah.
Okay, I mean,
they went to watch TV 101.
Okay, so they watch TV and they think that they know it all. So okay, let me say something. And if you have smart marks in your live stream right now, Dave, some of them maybe get offended. So you want to see the numbers go down. So, smart marks, if you're listening, because you watch how to do brain surgery on YouTube does not make you a brain surgeon. It doesn't mean that you know everything about brain surgery. You are still a spectator. So, for me, smart marks, I don't know what makes them so smart. If you at the end of the day, you're still a mark. At the end of the day, you're still a fan. You're still a fan. That's what you are. You never paid any money to go. You've never paid any money into wrestling other than buying a ticket. You've never bought a pair of boots. You never bought a pair of trunks. You never paid anybody money at professional wrestling school. You never paid gas money to ride in somebody's car to end up at a wrestling show to actually work the show. So you're either way, you're a fan or a mark. Either way, mark is a derogatory term. I don't know what makes mark so derogatory. I guess there are a lot of wrestling fans out there named Mark. Maybe that's what it is. So you don't want to be put into that category. But if you ask me, I don't think that you should be a smart mark. At the end of the day, you're a mark. That's just an extra badge. That's just to say, hey, you know what? I went to David Blaine, and I know how he made that rabbit come out of his hat. So I'm smarter. I have to tell everybody I know how that happened. Let me tell you something, smart marks. Don't break your hand, pat yourself on the back, all right? Because you don't know jack.
Don't know jack. Okay. All right. Good. All right. So now going back to the whole heel thing. So MJF, do you think AEW specific audience with MJF? So you still think this was the right move for that company? Now I know you agree with I know you agree with MJF, but I'm saying for the company, what specifically was that the right move?
Was it the right move sending MJF, or was it the right move for Cody Rhodes to do damage control?
Sending MJF for their company, for their fan base, is it the right look for AEW All Elite Wrestling going forward? Do you think that was the best?
Of course.
Right?
You know why? Because somebody that might not know what AEW is, someone that may not watch professional wrestling in its current state might go there and see this MJF character and go, wow, he's really a face punched in. He's no different than Floyd Mayweather. That Floyd Mayweather goes out there and talks all that junk, and at the end of the day, you want to see him get his face punched in. What makes him and Floyd Mayweather different? Because one is in a shoot sport and one is in a work sport. At the end of the day, it's all entertainment. At the end of the day, as you say, Dave, it all comes down to dollars and donuts. At the end of the day, it's about putting butts in seats every X amount of inches. That's all it's about. It's about selling tickets. It's about getting people to order it on pay-per-view or, Bleacher Report Live or, wherever it is, the WWE Network. That's what it's all about at the end of the day, to get people to watch and go, I saw that guy in person one time at an autograph signing, and the guy in front of me, he brought his son, and his son was so excited to meet MJF, and MJF gave that kid the middle finger. How dare he? Hey, how dare he? He did it.
So what I really like about this, so in the end of it all, it's about getting a specific reaction to entertain the audience. So when you're working someone, when you're out there, you're looking to entertain and engage your audience. And by doing so, you need to get a specific reaction of what what you're looking to get out of them, even if it's counterintuitive of what they normally feel, normally think. You work them by getting them to feel differently than what they normally feel in order to entertain the crowd. Is that correct?
Yes, it's called crowd control. It's called manipulation.
Well, I just want to point out, I got you to say that your favorite wrestler, Triple H, and your girl, Sasha Banks, were wrong and on my live stream. So I just want to point that out.
No. And I want to point out as well, too, Dave, that, again, even though I feel that they are wrong, I haven't put any money in their pockets aside from ordering the WWE Network and looking at it and going, oh, wow, that's very cool. I like that. It's so entertaining. Ooh, I'm going to steal that. I have a whole thing in my phone where I go in and put things that I steal from other wrestlers, whether it be new school, old school, or something I just randomly end up on a YouTube. So I haven't put any money in their pocket. I'm not paying Triple H his executive salary. So at the end of the day, they need to do what Vince McMahon or whoever the heck is in charge of them tells them to do. They don't care about me. At the end, there's a saying that I always say, Dave. Wolves are not concerned with the opinions of sheep. And everybody that comes out there and buys the tickets, they're the sheep. So be a sheep, okay? The wolf, they don't care. Vince McMahon puts the money in their pocket. Cody Rhodes, Tony Khan. If Tony Khan says at the end of the day, hey, you did a great job, does it really matter what the fans think?
Gotcha. And Samurai Productions, thanks for reminding me on this one. Hey, yo, Harry Flynn. So before we get out of here, I do want to touch upon something. Just because I'm taking survey time, hey, yo, my normal co-host, Albert Albanese, over on Monday, he said, now we already clarified this with Stephen James yesterday, but I figure why not? Let's go for, or Tuesday, sorry, not yesterday, Tuesday. Let's clarify this. My co-host, Albert Albanese, said that the most dedicated fans, I think the most dedicated fans in the industry, the people who put in the most to professional wrestling, the most dedicated, are the workers themselves, or the people involved in the industry. Those are the people who are the most dedicated fans because they're the ones who actually got involved in it. But Albert said, no, that is not true. He actually said it's the people who don't get involved in the business and talk on social media. They're more dedicated than any of the workers. So, your thoughts?
I think that both Steve and Albert have very valid points.
No. But again, Steve did not agree with that. Steve said that is one of the dumbest things he's ever heard in his life.
But who does Steve say is more dedicated?
No, Albert. Steve says it's the workers for sure. Albert is the one who said that the workers that are not as dedicated as the people tweeting and are being on social media and talking, those people know more. Oh, and Albert also said he knows more about the business than Bill Goldberg does. So your thoughts?
Okay, the guy that's never made a dollar in the professional wrestling business. Okay.
Correct. Not me or Steve. Not me. Yeah, I said that the workers are the most dedicated. Steve backed me up.
Right.
Both me and Steve, as you know, work for Capital Wrestling. Albert does not works for nobody. Nobody wrestling. Non-existent WF. That's where he works for. But yeah, he said that it takes more to being on social media. Oh, and by the way, Samurai Productions totally trolled me because he kept backing Albert up. Just want to throw that out there. Receipt. Now, Albert was saying that the people on social media are more dedicated than the fans, and that he knows more about wrestling than Bill Goldberg does. So yeah, your thoughts?
So first of all, I think you should drug test the people that come on your show. I think that Albert's idea is uneducated. He is not a smart mark. I think he would be considered a Brian. You want to find out more about a Brian, RoyRamboRadio.com. And I feel that the wrestlers are dedicated, but if you're looking at it from another way, I think the fans are more dedicated. But not every single fan is dedicated. Let me tell you who are the most dedicated fans, Dave. The ones that order all the pay-per-views, the ones that show up to these wrestling events with the replica championships, not the replica the what is it, like the almost like the official authentic title. Is there a word for that?
Gotcha. 1 second. John Stallman, thank you so much for the super chat. You're the man. Super chat, $5 super chat from my man, John Stallman. You were awesome. And John Stallman has to say, by the way, congratulations on winning your bet with Albert. John Stallman has to say, armchair bookers like Albert is why Vince Russo had a job. Thank you, thank you, thank you so much. Thank you so much for the super chat. Very much appreciated. Yes, and Harry Flynn, you do know more wrestling than Albert does. Thank you, thank you. Cannot thank you enough, John Stallman. So sorry about that. Continue, Tristan, with your thoughts about that. The replica titles, those fans, those are the most dedicated fans that you would say?
Yes, I think they're more dedicated because they spend a lot more money in the product. The fans that go to every single WrestleMania, that they go to every summer, they go to the Big Four, WrestleMania, SummerSlam, Royal Rumble, and Survivor Series. Those are the dedicated people. The people that spend their hard-earned money to sit front row, the people that go to the weekend pay-per-view, the NXT on the Saturday and the SmackDown the Friday before, and the Monday Night Raw to top off the weekend. Those are dedicated people.
All right, I very much appreciate that.
The dedicated people. Oh, you got another super chat?
No, not yet. But thanks for hoping.
Oh, okay. Oh, sorry.
No, it's okay.
But yeah, I think those people are dedicated. You know, the people that spend money on the meet and greets and sit there just to have breakfast with the wrestlers, and those are the dedicated people, not the people that casually turn the TV on and go, "Oh, I could have done this better. What could you have done better?" Put some money into the product. Be a real fan. So,
gotcha. That's Oh, now Samurai Productions is on my side. Oh, look at that. Look how convenient they switched it. I know. He was just trolling. He was just messing with me. But nonetheless, I'm going to make you pay for it. So, yes. All right. So, Tristen Law, thank you so much for being on the show. And as you should have tuned in last week for the Royal Ramble radio show, I was a special guest on it, just as I am going to be very much coming up shortly. So Tristan, thank you again for your thoughts on what it's like to be a heel, what's the important parts of heel, and whether or not these things were good or bad. These press incidents we talked about. So yes, hello Arthur Pryor. Are you alone in every? What? Okay. Anyway, so Tristan Law, tell everybody where they can find you.
You can find me in my house because we're not allowed to go anywhere. But you can find me on social media, on Twitter and Instagram at The Real Big Trist. Always feel free to tweet me to @me. I think that's the cool thing, @me. And you could always hear me on Royal Ramble Radio, which is usually live every Tuesday from 7 to 9. But because we're not allowed to go anywhere but our homes, you can listen to the podcast anywhere you listen to podcasts. Just search Royal Ramble Radio. Find me, @me.
All right. Thank you again. So thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for all of you guys for being here as well. And thank you for the super chat, John Stallman. We are trying to figure out when we're going to have Albert back. Again, a special thank you to my guest, Tristan Law. Check him out at the Royal Ramble radio show and do all those things that he just said. Thanks again to everybody. I'm going to have a good night for all of you, but we're going to have to go over and do the Royal Ramble radio show. So thank you so much for everyone again to being here. And as always,